This is the talk show that takes a no-holds-barred approach to politics, where truth and integrity are the standard and the Constitution honored. From Renaissance Studios, this is Champion News Talk Radio.
Good morning and welcome to another great edition of Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net, your choice for the conservative voice. This is Carol Parisi. Our founder, Jack Roeser, and myself have a good friend to us, Tom Weber. And Tom Weber, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me out, Carol and Jack. It's an honor to come out here again and on your show and kind of tell you what's been going on up in northern Lake County.
Well, we're looking forward to that. How are you today, Jack?
I'm bewildered. There's so many things going on in politics that, it's very hard to fill the role that's falling to us because the Republican Party failed badly in the election of governor. That election should never have been lost, but there's a huge lesson in its loss because Brady's not a bad guy, and he's got a lot of good policies in him. He's a nice-looking man, as a person, he's nice to know. He's been a senator. You can find a lot of good in him, and you can also find that the National Governors Association put about $14 million into his running. I put $50,000 of that in myself, and so there was plenty of money and a decent, nice-looking, personable man. Trouble was that the Republican Party had it in their head that he was sure to be elected. Their polls showed him 15% ahead in the very beginning, and they went into a prevent defense, and we know what that does in football. Right. You go into prevent defense and you lose. To win, you've got to get out there and fight. And certainly towards the end of that campaign, the Democrats were running ads. Who is this guy? Meaning Bill Brady. And so the party never let that man define himself. We can blame Bill for not being maybe strong enough to resist the desires of the people that were running the Republican Party at the time. But they lost that election. At the same time, we were winning election of 4 fellows to Congress, the most prominent of them being Joe Walsh, who did it just about entirely on the help of the Tea Party. And but those 4 guys all got elected. Now we have 3 more congressmen than were present before that election. We got 3 more than the Democrats.
Right.
We elected 4 to do that, and so that's really remarkable. And the tactics were the exact reverse of what the Republican Party of the state of Illinois leaders did with Bill Brady. There's a huge lesson in that, and nobody should forget it and fail to draw the conclusions about it. And a lot of people have been pessimistic about the chance for the Republicans to win this coming election in November.
Well, Jack, that's a huge point that the Republican Party should take note. So lifelong Republicans like myself, have been, sitting and watching, and basically a lot of us have stepped up to the plate because we're frustrated with what the party has done over the years. And that, for instance, is why I'm running. I'm tired of watching the same old thing as usual. I'm a small business owner. Regulations and mandates are hurting small business in my area. Taxes are skyrocketing. Most of our government bodies' revenues are increasing faster than CPI or faster than property values. And as representatives of the people, we can't have that.
Your business life has been in construction, is that right?
Yeah.
So you're a practical guy doing very practical things. And I can understand your frustration in what these lousy things have done to the building trades. They put a hell of a lot of people out of work.
Well, absolutely. The when the economy went south, I had about 10 employees, and I had to lay off over 50% of those. And the problem is, while most businesses that I know have had to do the same thing, even stores, et cetera, have been doing layoffs. They've been switching from full-time help to part-time. That government is doing, business as usual.
Well, and that's the thing. And the cool thing is,
it ain't
Tom,
business. It's a good way to put it, but it ain't business.
It's not business.
Boy, it's anti-business.
well, Tom, you were just a regular taxpayer. You were a businessman, and all of a sudden you saw government's waste, fraud, and abuse, and how government wastes money, and you decided to step up to the plate in leadership and get involved with running for office.
Well, it's something where my kids are older. I've watched politics, kind of armchair quarterback for a long time. But about 4 or 5 years ago, I decided to get involved. I started attending a lot of town halls. Started researching a lot of different government bodies. I've tried to expose a lot of village, basically perks that they're giving to some of these employees, which was a recent question asked of me by the Lake County Journal about how do I feel about administrator perks. And from my experience from Freedom of Information Act, where I FOIA'd certain information and contracts of administrators particularly, some of these you have to get a team of mathematicians to come in just to be able to tell what exactly the total economic benefit of their perks are. And the people that are paying the taxes to support these contracts, it should be open and transparent and be right in front of them. So I'm 100% against the perks to government employees.
Tom, as a businessman, if you ran your business as our government does, how long would you be in business for?
Not very long.
Well, I used to hear statistics that 99 or it was 97% of businesses after 10 years are out of business. And I think if it would be 100% if we all ran it like government does. Now, I've been in business for almost 17 years, I think it is now. And there's been many times I've had to make tough decisions, lay off friends or employees that I've had working for me for years. But when those times come, winter, everyone knows in construction that, winter comes, April, March, those are terrible months for construction. It's cold, no one wants to do anything. So, of course, at that time, you may have employees that worked for you for years, but you don't have the money, so you have to lay them off.
How different those forces are in the real world outside of politics.
Absolutely.
Businesses that can't compete under these tough conditions disappear, and others come along in the American competitive way. And there is the good part about it is there is a cleansing of the less capable ones out of it. But that cut is way too deep now into real businesses. Plus, it's gotten so unreasonable in this state that businesses are leaving here.
Yes, like crazy.
I was talking to a man in Wisconsin that had moved a really huge business up there. I got to leave this out of it. There's no sense making it personal. But an extremely well-run business by really decent people with a lot of great employees, running a very successful business still. But it's up in Wisconsin, and it ain't here.
Right.
And you can't blame them at all for moving out of this rotten climate of way too many regulations, too much crookedness, waste, taxes. And they went and raised business taxes, what, 67%?
Well, and even at the county level, our local forest, Lake County Forest Preserve, there was a local instance, I don't want to give any names on businesses involved. However, we had a local business within my district that I'm running for that had put out a bid for something that the Forest Preserve was buying, and for $100 less, our Forest Preserve went out of the state to purchase it, instead of purchasing it from a local businessman who donates thousands.
Well, that's one of the big differences. Private business has to create revenue. They have to create a profit, and they've got to make tough decisions every day. Whereas the government has this pipeline to our tax dollars. The government doesn't create revenue, they spend revenue.
Well, and here's the worst part about it is we've got a business that's within our district, within our county, that by purchase, he's going to employ probably, who knows, 4 or 5 people to put this together, and all those people get hurt because of that purchase.
Well, government simply does not allocate resources as effectively as the private sector. When government spends more money gets wasted, and the private sector is less able to grow. And we do need less government in the way for small businesses. But you're a small businessman, and you're stepping up to run for your county board. Exactly what are you running for, Tom?
I'm running for County Board District 3, which will also place me on the Forest Preserve. And in Lake County, if you're elected to the county board, you are also elected to the Forest Preserve.
Tom will be right back after the break.